TIL died when Apple began designating employee numbers. Steve Jobs was offended that Wozniak received 1 while he got 2. He believed he should be second to no one, so he took 0 instead. I remember reading his autobiography as a kid. Used to be a huge admirer of his, but something that always stood out to me was how ruthlessly he conducted business. As someone who works in tech now, Jobs sounds like an absolute nightmare of a PM to deal with. Can't argue with success, but definitely not someone I'd want to work with day in and day out. He died young specifically because he was that sort of asshole. Then Tim Apple showed everybody who was really behind the company's success by turning the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate into a multi-trillion-dollar conglomerate. If he was less of an asshole, he would have been able to keep the myth going. Jobs was fortunate to have died while social media was relatively fledgling, as opposed to now when every public figure uses it as a tool to show what an asshole they are. Based on many stories, he's like an Elon Musk of a different era. A lot better at saying he's a genius than actually being one. Whenever people talk about Steve Jobs, all I will remember is that this man tried to cure his cancer he got from eating too many fruits, giving him pancreas cancer. By eating a specific new fruit, how can a person with so much money fall so short in intelligence? God, Steve Jobs was such an insufferable prick. Makes me so mad that he is revered as some sort of genius today when so much of what he claimed was his was other people's work or group project that sure, yeah, he deserves credit for, but not sole credit. My mom is 327. Jobs and Woz have both stopped by the house when I was a kid, to ask my mom to come in on a Saturday or Sunday to get some system back up and running. Spent lots of weekends as a kid running up and down the halls of Bentley 1 and 2. That's a fascinating tidbit from the annals of tech lore. Steve Jobs' characteristic drive for individuality and determination to hold a unique position shine through in his decision to claim employee number 0. Icon or jackass? Why not both? I wonder if Jobs would have mellowed in his older years. I admire Bill Gates these days, but in the early days he was so determined to be unique in his organization that Microsoft had more than 500 employees before hiring its second William. I don't know why this guy has a cult following. Was it the way he treated his daughter like crap? Took credit for Wozniak's work. Maybe because he thought he knew more than Doctor did before that became popular during COVID. No doubt Apple needed Jobs to be successful, but he isn't a person I particularly admire because of the way he treated other people. I refuse to hero worship anyone, least of all assholes. What a petty little shit. I can't stand how many people look up to him, especially in my field. Not even for the things he was stellar at, but for the whole little asshat persona. This level of pettiness is up there with The Rock and Vin Diesel. They both have stipulations in their contracts that their character cannot lose in a movie XD. Didn't Jobs die of pancreatic cancer? By refusing to treat it with anything but fruit? You know, the organ responsible for breaking down your body is sugar. Did someone watch Pirates of Silicon Valley this weekend? This is the second post of early Microsoft Apple trivia that pops up clearly in the movie. He may have been a marketing genius, but he was an asshole and a fool when it came to most everything else, including his approach to treating cancer. Steve Jobs is the capitalist's wet dream. An asshole who got tons of credit and money for doing nothing. He was a master manipulator and a crook. Woz was the real genius, and a good human being to boot. The quicker we realize men like Jobs and Elon are just used car salesmen, the better. He took 0 and forced countless dollars for software testing edge cases when undefined $0 triggered some user-related code. Poor baby. It sucks when your business partner is far more capable than you are, I guess. Had to pump up his ego to get through the day. And there you have it. Every man at the top is a whiny baby who cries if they don't get their way. Why do we listen to these people? Lol. Same attitude as this. I know more than doctors. This fruit diet will solve my pancreatic cancer. Dies. Wozniak is the genius behind Apple. Jobs is a businessman. And like any other businessman, he acts like one. That's what narcissists and sociopaths do. Petty issues like this eat them up inside and they need to act just like to be considered the most important man in the room when he was anything but. Every time I see posts about Steve Jobs, it's always about how much of a pompous jackass this guy is. The massive insecurity of the gods of tech is truly remarkable. Elon, I am looking at you. Steve Jobs was a massive tool and straight up asshole. Just look at how he treated his daughter. What's funny is the original Inside Macintosh books I read were all Pascal, which starts at 1. Jobs is a lunatic. Read his biography. The fact this man is glorified as a genius is a joke, and probably wrote it off as something about loving binary that his adherents just ate up. So more about Steve Jobs to confirm the heavily documented fact that he was a twat. Oof. Should have reserved 0 for a special meaning like employee undefined. Wozniak should have taken 00, it's a separate number. TIL in basketball. But Woz created Apple. The older I get, my love for Jobs gets less and less. TBF, if they were using the alphabetical system, Jobs would have been first. Ironically, that still made Wozniak second to none, and Jobs a none. This surprises no one, and I'm pretty sure Woz wasn't surprised either. 0 none. Second after 0 is 1, so if you wanted to be second to none, that's about the level of petty childishness I'd expect out of Jobs. They should have told Jobs, but in binary, your number is bigger. What a tool! Wozniak literally created the first Apple computer, or the Mongooses. That's a cool name. The Fighting Mongooses. They say not to speak ill of that Jobs was a prick. Me, having already set the employee a data type to serial, hand over mouth. That's because Jobs was an asshole on top of being a hack. I'm pretty happy that we still have Woz and Jobs is gone. I wish more billionaires would follow his medical advice. Oh look, more apocryphal Steve Jobs is an asshole stories. Absolutely treatable prostate cancer herbal remedies. It's almost like Steve Jobs was a fucking psychopath. Taking 0 as first is the only option for a programmer. This just in: Steve Jobs was a dictate line 1980.